so excited today to be talking to Gia Peppers. Gia, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Vicky Roe?
I am doing good, girl. Glad to be here with you because you are just a boss in every sense of the word.
Thank you.
On
Thank you.
air talent, entertainment journalist,
Thank
worked
you.
with so many different conglomerates. I'm talking about the NBA, Complex, Essence, BET. We could go on and on all day, but then we would be here
Yeah.
all day.
Right.
So
Right.
I do want to go back a little bit and just talk kind of about your journey and how you got here some,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems like you've always kind of been interested in entertainment. I saw that you went to the Debbie Allen Dance Academy in Los Angeles. Tell
Yes.
me about that because that's a huge deal.
Yes. Chelsea, you were doing your research,
You
honey.
know, just a little notes.
No, it's a period. So I my mom's gonna be like, why couldn't she just answer that question seriously? So growing up, I definitely was always obsessed with entertainment and music and singing and dancing and acting. My sister and brother make fun of me all the time, and it's so relevant because Coming to America is coming out. But do you remember the girl in Coming to America where they were on a date? Arsenio and Eddie were on their dates, and the girl was like, I produce my own songs, I write my own songs. They always say that is me. And so
That's you.
I've always been that girl that's like, I'm going to do it. And then I have that, and I'm reporting, and I'm hosting, and I'm walking, and I'm singing. Like, that's always me. And
I
so,
love it.
they've always said that was what I was called to be like, and it eventually came true for me. And so, my mom saw that I was interested in dance, and my sister and I grew up dancing. There is a school called Jones Haywood School of Ballet in Washington, D.C., which was the first school in the DMV to allow Black women, Black girls to learn ballet. And so shout out to Miss Jones and all of the teachers who helped shape a new class of ballerinas. And I believe it was one of the first on the East Coast as well. And so essentially we grew up and we noticed a lot of our classmates were going to LA in the summers. And we were like, how we get there? And we're like 11, 12, but it's just like, okay, but that's lit. And they get to go learn from like the greats of the greats of the greats. And so Debbie Allen has this incredible academy called the Debbie Allen Dance Academy that we all know about. Taylor Page, who was co-stars with Chadwick Boseman and Viola Davis in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and now Boogie coming to us in March. She was one of my classmates for a time there. So many women. I can't even think of her name, but she just starred in Pretty Little Things on Netflix as well, as the main character. I think her name was Whitney. She was a little younger than me. But Taylor Parks, Ariana Grande's best friend, went there. So like so many people.
You got some names.
Right. So Miss Allen, that's my favorite thing. I could talk about Debbie Allen for the whole interview, but I will not. I will say this though. Debbie Allen is the blueprint and the groundwork for Black women thriving in this industry. And I say that because at every iteration of her career, whether she is directing, whether she is dancing, choreographing, putting shows together, coming in and changing shows for the better, like A Different World, she has always thought about students, and she has always thought about the next generation. And she was always held them in regard because her entire life, she was told in the segregated parts of Texas that she wasn't able to be a star because she was Black. And so for every single time she was told no, she made it a yes for every Black student that wanted to be a part of any type of entertainment, anything. And she showed us the way to do it. And so for 6 weeks every summer, my sister and I would go out to the Debbie Allen Dance Academy. And at this time, you remember when it was like Rise, the Crumpet movie. And you remember when it was like, remember that movie?
Okay.
And you remember You Got Served and all that. And Chris Brown was starting to get lit. Girl, all these people were teaching us. Like we were taught by Dave Scott, who was the man head choreographer for You Got Served. We were taking class with the kids in Rise, the Crumbing movie. Like I was obsessed with little Tiana. I still love her today. I hope she's doing well. But like, Tiana. Right? Hey, Tiana from Rise. And so, you know, our friends were in Baldwin Hills. Like Ashley Calloway from Baldwin Hills is one of my friends still. And so we were able to see that tangibly Hollywood wasn't so far away. that entertainment careers were not only possible for Black people, but they were necessary for us. It was important that we be in these spaces, and it was important that we learn from the best in order to thrive in these spaces. Debbie Allen made sure that none of us walked into this industry not knowing at least what could happen and come to life in our own dreams. And so, yeah, the Debbie Allen Dance Academy was everything, honey. I like, if anyone has kids or has, you know, young people in their life that are interested in entertainment, please look out the Debbie Allen Dance Academy. And if you are a supporter of the arts, please ensure that you are donating to her, because yes, she has Hollywood friends, but this is a passion project for her. And so I definitely have an open, you know, donation that I always give, because those students are the stars of today and tomorrow, and the game changers of today and tomorrow. So it's been great. It was such a great experience.
And you can tell, I mean, just by the way you talk about it, that it really changes your life. And I love that you touched on the fact that it's not so far away. And you know what that highlights is the fact that representation really does matter. Like if you see these things, you know that it's attainable. But, you know, so many times we see people who don't look like us in these spaces. So it's like, oh, yeah, that's not even something I can do. So I love the fact that you brought that up, period.
Thank you.
And
you have such a great voice. I love your voice.
Oh, girl, stop.
Seriously, I just have to say it. I really do.
Listen, okay, now I'm distracted. No, but
look, let me go back. I'm
okay,
sorry.
We're back in business mode, and we're back. So I saw that you also interned at the Wendy Williams show, which is so crazy because I actually interned at the Rachel Ray show, and I know they're in the same building. Yes. So okay, I was definitely there. Yes. How did interning at the Wendy Williams show kind of shape your experience in this industry as a journalist?
Absolutely. Interning at the Wendy Williams show was an eye opener for sure. Because I grew up in DC in Maryland. So I did not grow up with every episode of the Wendy Williams show, but I knew about the shock jock Wendy Williams. I knew that Wendy was the person that went toe to toe with Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. I knew Wendy was going to say what she had to say. So when I got an email about, I went to Rutgers University in New Jersey. And so, a lot of those people, you know, were connected to people in the industry in New York, and they sent out emails to our professors, and they were like, we're looking for new people. The Wendy Williams show is in its first season, and we need some interns. And so I'm a sophomore, and a junior, I think, a sophomore and junior. And I'm like, how is Wendy Williams going to be a morning show, talk show, primetime show host? Like, how does she translate to audiences when people are always like when she's always towing the line of like
towing? How about going over the line?
right. Going over. She's always pushing the line. As a matter of fact, she's always cutting the line as to what is appropriate to share and not. And so I was like, you know what? One thing that I always knew I wanted to be a part of was this industry, but I also wanted to make sure that I knew that I had experience in every single aspect of what a journalist could do in entertainment. And so I was like, you know what? Let me see what this looks like. I'll come on as a production intern, and I'll see if producing is what I want to do instead of being on camera. And so I did that for 2 seasons, and it was great. And I learned so much about it because, how do I even explain it? One, it was a baby show. So I saw the process of them kind of clean up and put Wendy in a TV, you know, audience way where she could do funny things like open her wig and get a note out and, you know, scratch her teeth and be herself. And that was endearing to the audience, but you couldn't go too far because, you know, you need guests on the show, especially in those first few seasons. Now, Wendy got the choppers back out, I see. But she
had back out.
But, you know, seeing her was inspiring because Wendy was always herself. That's one thing I will say. Wendy Williams, if she felt it, if she thought it, if she felt like saying it, she was going to say it. And so I respected how she showed up. I respected that a business woman like this young woman who was from New Jersey and just rose through every opportunity and fought over every single thing to come and get her talk show, could operate in this space in this moment. And Wendy's ratings, you know, especially in the beginnings, were really great. Like, she was able to really take over a new space. People weren't looking for Oprah anymore. They were looking for someone who could spill tea. We are a tea generation. As much as I hate it, we are a tea generation. Okay. And so, you know, while Oprah was retiring, Wendy and shows like that were able to kind of find their lane too. And so while I wasn't necessarily sold on the way Wendy reports stories, I was like, this is still a Black woman that is owning her voice in her lane, and I respect her, and I respect how much she fought to be here. And I am so proud to see that she's still on TV and still doing her thing. And you know, and getting Lifetime movies and all that. So it's another example of what's possible, but she definitely, I only got to talk to her once in my entire 2 years there, because they do not play with the producers. They don't play. Like,
they are on it.
Wasn't that? But, you know, I respected her hustle. From a hustler to a hustler, I was like, I get it.
Yeah, I got to actually see her once when I was like coming down the stairs or something. And she was like, hey, and I'm like, I don't know, do I speak back?
Right.
Should I say something? And I'm like, smile and nod your head, girl, say something.
Yeah, she asked me like, why did you intern so much? Because we were talking about all my internships, and I was like, well, I don't got no auntie named Wendy Williams. Okay, I wanted to figure it out. I can't just walk into no studio and somebody give me a job hunting. So
exactly. You know. So you go from, I mean, Debbie Allen Dance Academy, Wendy Williams intern, to hosting and working with big conglomerates like the BETs, like the NBA. How did that transition happen for you?
How long you got? Let me see how I can do the Spark Notes version of this. So after graduating Rutgers, I had interned everywhere. Again, Wendy Williams show, but the first internship I ever had was actually with Donnie Simpson. And so I was working in DC. He was at the time the highest paid like morning show radio host, I believe, on the whole East Coast. Like Donnie Simpson, we all love him and know him, but in DC, he is ours. He is the person that guides our mornings every single morning, from the time I was a baby to the time that I actually walked into his studio and got to meet him myself. And so he showed me how possible it was to maintain an aura and a personality that is kind and is nice and is genuine while doing great work. He showed me that you could be the catalyst to ensuring that a celebrity feels like a human being and is not just being there to be picked apart, that they feel like at the end of the day, you are here to talk to me about something, and this moment is going to have mutual respect and not just tear me apart like you're a buzzard and I'm meat on the road. Like, and I think that's one of my favorite things about how I approach storytelling and journalism. And so, yeah, he showed me that it was possible, because before that, it was very much like cutthroat. Like, you got to walk across the street and you got to walk across the bridge to Brooklyn and get cheesecake. If you're going to make it in this industry, you got to step on everybody. Like, everything was like, okay, so I need to like learn how to fight in order to be here. Like, I don't want to step on people. And like, yes, it is cutthroat. And yes, you do got to learn certain things about how to maneuver in this industry to protect yourself, because there are snakes out here, but you can also be a kind human being. And so he changed the game for me. And so basically, after I graduated from college, I had interned everywhere and I had no job. No job offers. It was the recession still. 2012, was a very tough year for the economy in this country. And so nobody was getting jobs, and I was one of them. And so I finally moved back to New York. My mom forced me to move back to New York because I was home for like, you know, getting lit and celebrating graduation. And my mom was like, this ain't that. You going back to New York because clearly you're not focused. And so she dropped me off at my 85-year-old great aunt's house. And in Brooklyn, in the middle of the summer, July, with no AC or Wi-Fi, child. And I said, okay, this is real. This is real life. And so I stayed there, and I was able to, one, save money, but two, start to just work in entry-level positions. And my first industry job was actually overnights in the newsroom with CBS Radio News. And so I was a per diem desk associate working from like 11:30 or 11 p.m. to like 8 a.m. And so essentially your job during that time is obviously to man the newsroom overnights, make sure that if you're screening any calls from affiliates, say the affiliates are in the West Coast and there's a breaking news story, you screen that call, you patch it to the newsroom. Twitter was just starting up, so I was responsible for Twitter. I was the social media manager before I even knew that was a thing. And so, but during that time, there were dead hours when everything was kind of calm, like 1 to 3 a.m. And during that time, I would, one, be trying to stay awake, but two, I realized that I could start dreaming and putting together what I wanted my career to look like. I knew it wasn't hard news, because you have to be desensitized to certain things in order to really be a successful journalist. You have to be objective. You can't go on a screen crying, even though it does happen because we are humans, but that is not the practice of journalism, a everyday thing. And so I realized very quickly that I wasn't going to be there long, but while I was there, I learned that I could do anything. Because the fact that I could work overnights when I never thought I could stay up overnight alone, the fact that I could show up and be there in the morning and sleep all day and then go to events and then go into work and then figure it out and still freelance and figure out my life from there and maintain those relationships that I was having. I was like, I can do anything. Now, what do I want to do? And so my last straw in that newsroom was the Sandy Hook shooting. And that was when the kids, were killed right before Christmas. And there was parents, we all saw the live streams, and there were parents on these live streams getting ready to talk to the country about the kids they were missing and the sadness that they were feeling before Christmas. And these are 5, 6, 7-year-old kids that are not coming home, babies killed. And I'm sitting there fighting back tears. Like, I can't believe this is our country. I can't believe that they still have to talk about why gun violence needs to be addressed in this country. And so I'm over here about to cry, and they're like, Gia, how many kids are dead? Is anyone in critical? What do you? And I'm like, but that's the news business. You have to, because people need to know, right? Like there is a line, right? There is this fine line between like that trauma porn that we do see sometimes, but the news business does have to report the facts. So that was pretty much I was like,
I completely get what you mean. I had that moment because I was a news reporter for about 2 years. And there was like this shooting one day, and I was like trying to hide in the bathroom so they didn't know I was there. I had to go out on the scene. They hadn't caught the guy yet. I mean, it was crazy. It was too much. And I knew I had the same moment, like, hard news is not for me. I appreciate the experience, but
yeah, which is why I pray for the folks who had to cover politics these last 4 years. Boy, do I pray for them, because everything you know about democracy changed. Everything all of a sudden was a joke. Everything.
Literally.
And so, even my dad is a hard news. He works in hard news at AP. And I was like, every day I saw like how it literally just makes you rethink if you even want to be in this business, right?
It's completely draining. It's draining.
So that's when I chose, okay, entertainment is surely for me. And from there, I just decided, okay, so I'm not going to move to Biloxi. I am not going to move to a small town in Idaho and one-man bandit. I live in New York. I went to school in New Jersey. I am going to figure out a way to make sure that I stay up here and I have all these dream positions and I work really hard. And it was extremely difficult, and it still is hard, right? But I am making my own way. And I was able to learn how to, one, count on myself, but two, how to really hustle. And so during that time, everything, like one of the craziest moments in my life was when I was working at BT Breaks as a digital reporter. I was working with Ebro at Hot 97, and that's how I met all the women who are on Black Girl Podcast with me. We're all on the cast, and working as an associate editor for Essence Fest, and then also hosting the Washington Wizards, my hometown team, every home game in DC. And so that journey was crazy. That also was a moment where I proved I could do anything, because I asked God, I said, look here now, all of these opportunities are too important for me to let go. All of them. Every single one matters. If I'm in these spaces with Ebro, he's bringing up Little Kim, and he's bringing up Wale, and he's bringing up all these people where, you just want to meet and see how those interviews work. Erykah Badu, like all these things. And so I couldn't give that up. I was hosting in front of 15,000 people every night and seeing the LeBrons and Kobe's, may he rest in peace, and so many people who, made my childhood as players. Seeing them play every day with my favorites, John Wall and Bradley Beal and all of them. So I was like, well, I'm not giving that up. And I couldn't give up Essence, because you never give up Essence.
You don't give up Essence.
So I was like, Lord, I don't know when I'm gonna get my sleep, but I'm gonna figure this out. And so essentially I would wake up when I was, say I had a game day, I would wake up super early in the morning. I would go to either office, whether it was Hot 97 or Essence. And then I would get on a train or a bus at noon, head down to DC, get there by like 4:35, get on the metro to the Verizon Center. At the time, that's what it was called. I would literally do my hair and makeup and eat within 45 minutes. We would have a pre-show meeting. We would go live at 6:15. We would host the game until pre-game, pre-show. We'd have a few breaks until 9:20. My mom would sometimes be at the games, but sometimes she wasn't. She's a basketball fan. My mom is the biggest fan. She is like NBA Sports Center all day. Like that's all she does. She could be on here now talking about every stat of everything that happened last night. But so she would come take me back home. Dad and I would get up at 4:25 a.m. and he would get me on the 5:20 a.m. train, and I'll be back in New York by 8:30 in the morning and back at my dad's like 9 a.m. like it never happened. Like I was just gone for the afternoon. Like I didn't just go to a whole nother state. And I did that for 4 seasons. And so that's when I was like, okay, hustle is real.
No, for real. You put in a lot of work, and I think that just goes to show how much you do have to put in and really commit to. Like there's going to be days, months, sometimes years where you're not getting sleep, but you really put in the work, and that's evident because of, to the point that where you've gotten today. To even just your new podcast that, of course, we have to talk about. That with Gia Peppers. I mean, all those experiences, of course, led up to this grand moment for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Podcast, by the way, you have to tell me about it. What is More Than That with Gia Peppers?
Absolutely. So thank you for those congratulations there. But More Than That with Gia Peppers is a show where we essentially introduce new patterns of thinking for our community. And these, we are in a new wave of enlightenment and consciousness, right? 2020 woke everybody up, whether we was sleeping through the pandemic or not. It woke everybody up with the racial reckoning and the way that the Black Lives Matter movement really got its moment to shine and make sure that the country had its eyes on every single person that showed up in the midst of COVID-19 in the streets to protest all of the police brutality that we witnessed with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and every other person who was taken, Breonna Taylor, and so many other people who were taken from us by the hands of police, that justice still really hasn't been served at. So we're still fighting, and so, but in the midst of that time, when we were in the pandemic, people were learning about wellness and mental health and just how many things we really needed to apply to how broken this country really is, whether that is healthcare from the place down to making sure that we are okay from the inside out. And so all these new conversations started sparking about wellness and veganism and all these different things. And this show essentially pulls experts from varying new conversations within our communities. And we talk about these new subjects because I think people will see it on our timeline. We'll be like, yes, retweet. I understand wellness. Yes. Therapy. Yes. And
here for it.
Right. And we're like, but what is it? Like, no one ever really goes back to, unless you're doing your research on your own, like, and really understanding some of those topics or just following some of those experts that really get it. You're probably like, I just saw that everyone else retweeted it. So I just
posted to my stories. So
that is inspiring. I know that matters. And so we get to have conversations within this podcast that actually explain why some of these things happen and why these conversations are important. So episode 1, we dived into how Black creatives were able to fare through the pandemic and how writers of shows like Queen Sugar and the showrunner was actually on, Anthony Sparks, how he was able to go back and partner with Ava DuVernay to rewrite the entire season, and what it means to be able to walk into show places now and pitches and be able to say, I'm a Black man and I'm going to write this incredible show and you'll respect it. And they actually do. Like what this time for Black creatives could actually be. And so we talked to experts, Ebony K. Williams, who was a part of Revolt TV, but also is a new Real Housewife of New York, breaking history there, making history. She came on and talked about how creatives are next and now, how Black creatives own this moment and show up. And so that was one of the episodes. Another one of my favorites was soul food. And we really break down why soul food is so much more than just like a menu that we're used to in our grandmother's kitchens. How at the end of the day, soul food is a concept of how food fuels you and how what we put into our bodies essentially shows up in how we really maneuver life. And so we have Chef Aki on, and we have Pinky Cole on, the founder and it's a creator of Slutty Vegan, which is everything. And so we talked to them about eating right. And I talked to a Black farmer. That's my favorite part also as well. I'm gonna say the Black farmer part because Samantha Fox is incredible. She was one of the founders. She's the founder of this farm in North Carolina called Mother's Finest Urban Farms. And her conversation, she's a Black woman.
Wow.
In North Carolina and has a farm.
Amazing.
Yes. And so she got me all the way together because she was like, I think people don't realize how healing it is for us to return to the land. Like when we ride past open stretches of land, how many times have you thought like my ancestors are probably out there losing their life every single time? Mm-hmm. And something in us, trauma is passed down. So something in us is like reacting, right? Yeah. And she was saying until we as a people, and her Chef Aki as well, until we as a people entered the land with intention and love and reverence for the people who built this country and were literally slaves, property to this country, probably shed blood on this land. Until we return to it, we'll never truly start to heal and understand our feelings around the land. And the land is naturally so good for us. She was just talking about how when you stand in the sand and you're in the sun, especially as Black women, we know our skin absorbs the light. Melanin absorbs the light. It needs vitamin D. It thrives off of it. And she said, when you have your feet in soil and you're planted in soil and you are naturally connected to Mother Earth, it does something to heal your body from the inside out. And so she made me want to start a farm, honey. There were so many other gems she dropped, but these are the conversations we're having. Yes, it's wellness, but why do you think land is good for Black people to return to? Why should we have why should we support Black farms and Black farmers? Why should we support Black artists and Black art? How can I make my dollar work for me? We also have the second episode was called Fearless Finance. And we talked to Arian Simone, who we all know as the founder of the Fearless Fund. She is, and along with her founders, they are the only place that is Black woman owned and operated, the only VC firm. And we all know how difficult it is for Black women to get funding for their businesses. So we just go there. We have fun. We have a great time. And it's only 20 minutes. So it really is a thought starter for many people. It's just a new introduction into these ways of life that are happening that have made people's lives better, especially Black people. And we all know that we all can have been through so much this year. Black people were disproportionately affected by COVID-19 in too many ways. And so this is an offering for people who are trying to figure out what their new normal looks like, to be able to say, I don't understand this whole plant-based movement. It might not be for me, but let me at least hear why it works for some people, from people who look like me, who actually care about me. And so that's essentially what we do with that podcast. We bring in the new conversations and concepts that are floating out there, and we make it real and bite-sized, and we are extending, we're going to drop some extended versions of some conversations, which I'm so excited about, because some of these conversations went on for an hour and they dropped so many gems, honey. And so
that's probably hard to fit in 20 minutes when you get into these topics that are so robust and just it's so much that can go into it. So I'm glad that option, the extended episodes.
Yes, our producers at 19th and Park and 1X Studios and Dentsu, who are the companies that came together to produce this and tapped me to host it, they have a time, but they do incredible jobs. And it's a team of mostly Black creatives, which I also really, really love and value, because, the partners that we have, like Kroger and Procter and Gamble, these companies actually really care to have these conversations. And so they put their money where their mouth is. We saw a lot of people putting out tweets over the summer, but people didn't really change things. And so it's dope to also be a part of a team that actually was benefited from some of the things that we saw, where companies realized, okay, we do need to fund these voices and projects more. It can't just be a one-time thing. We have to make sure that we're really bettering the communities that we are a part of naturally, with the stores and the places that we are in these big Black cities, and even these gentrifying cities, which, child, that's a whole nother conversation.
What?
Don't even got the time. But yeah, it's a really exciting project that I'm excited for people to hear and tune into.
And it's really easy, I think, sometimes, especially, when you're doing so much, when you're working with these brands, it's easy, I think, for people from the outside looking in on your journey, right? To say, oh, it's all glitz and glam. Oh, it's always been easy for Gia. But I know life is not served up on a silver platter like that. So can you just briefly tell me about, how you kept pushing? Because I'm sure you've gotten no's before, how you kept pushing through those no's, because a lot of times that can be discouraging to people.
Girl, it is discouraging. I have, this industry will, like, I know everyone always says that it'll make you or break you, but it is true. This industry will make you or break you. And I have had times where I have absolutely given up. Now, I'm not even going to sit here and be like, yeah, I never gave up. I tried. I tried to put the mic down. I tried. There were some heartbreaking things that happened. I had a podcast deal before this with a different person and company, and they essentially just kind of threw it all out. And after promising a certain amount, was really like, oh, sorry, too bad, and literally spent like 1%, gave me 1% of what the contract guaranteed, and was like, if you feel like you have it, go ahead and take on all of our lawyers. So, needless to say, I was heartbroken in that moment because it felt like it was going to be that game-changing opportunity for me. Now I got this podcast and it is the game-changing opportunity. So that's how I know that faith and perseverance work all things together for your good. But for anyone who is going through those moments, what I would always tell myself is that, one, let yourself have your day. Let yourself have your time, because whatever it is you're feeling does matter, right? Whatever it is that you are going through right now does matter to the makeup of who you're supposed to be. And it's there to teach you something. Is there to prove to you that if you could just keep pushing and keep going and keep deciding to show up, despite what things might look like, if you can keep trying to lean into your faith and the plans that God has for you, then you have no idea how much better and stronger you will be for it. There are things that I've been through in my life that I know for a fact have helped me manage this moment where everything is happening at once and it's just insane, right? And so I think we all have to honor those moments of sadness and even some anger there and frustration, and talk about how we're feeling. I always say therapy is such a great tool, and we talk about wellness a lot on the podcast, and how certain things fuel certain feelings within us. I think healing is an important part of the journey. So whatever it is that happened, talk about it. Have a great tribe of people who can turn you back to yourself when you are feeling out of whack. Have people in your life who believe in your vision in the big picture and are not just there for the moments where you feel miserable with them. Like, have people who can be like, all right, girl, I'm gonna give you that out. Go ahead, vent. Say you're gonna give up. I have friends who legit text me now and be like, remember when you say it's gonna give up? Look at you stupid. Huh? Look at you.
Look at you flourishing and whatnot.
Look at you. Oh, we're talking about you gonna give up. So have a good tribe around you and give yourself time if you need a day. But always, I say this all the time, what's for you will absolutely be for you. It is perfectly and divinely aligned for you. But also, when you are in those first journeys of your career and you're just starting out and you have all this passion and you're green and you're great and everything's great and you just are great at everything, write down why you're starting. Write down exactly what it is you see that you want to accomplish here and keep that notebook safe. Put that in the safe with everything that is important to you in your life, because when those tough journeys, the tougher parts of the journey put themselves in your life, you'll be able to say, no, I have a why. I have a reason. And you'll be able to see those dreams, and little by little, they start to come true. And it's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of brick by brick laying, but it isn't impossible. And there are so many people to show us just how much possibility there is out there with Issa. We live in a world where Issa Rae, they have a YouTube show years ago, and now it is an Insecure, Emmy-nominated whole empire. The girl got so much going on, we don't even know what's happening next. You know what I'm saying? So it's all too possible. So if you can just stay in there, it'll work out.
Gia, you preaching a good word today. I feel like I need a tithe and offering back.
Come on, I'll get it.
You gotta just reminding people where we can find more information, where we can listen to More Than That with Gia Peppers.
Absolutely. So More Than That show is available right now wherever you get your streaming, your podcast, Apple, Spotify, everywhere. If you want to start there, that is a great place. It comes on the mornings on certain radio stations as well. And you can follow at More Than That Show online, on Instagram, on social media. We are lit on socials as well. So please follow us to learn more about our guests and more things that we're having to come along. And then you can follow me if you would like at Gia Peppers on all things social.
Now, Gia, I do have one last important question for you. If you have to take a second to think about it, it's fine.
Okay, here we go. It's the hard one.
Listen, how did it feel to be one of those blessed individuals to receive some Icy Park from Beyonce, girl?
Now, come on, the hard question. Well, let me just take it back to the I've been a fan. Exactly. I've been a fan of Beyonce Giselle since she was switching her knees in the 1996 No remix video with Wyclef Jean. Okay, No part 2. Okay. I grew up on Destiny's Child. It was Brandy or Destiny's Child for me. That was it. There was nobody else. I didn't care about nobody. Like 3LW was lit, yes, but like it was Brandy and Destiny's Child for me. And to have that meant a lot because B is always a person I look to for inspiration. She raises the bar, shatters the bar she set, and then restarts the entire journey just to raise the bar again for herself. For no one else, like there's no one else is touching B. It's not like she's like, oh, I gotta do this because so-and-so coming behind me. No one has even reached your last bar. And you're just gonna keep shattering the bars?
I mean, completely.
And so it was an honor to receive it because I noticed that she sent it to a lot of people this time who were, media people. They're journalists, they're activists. There's a lot of people that were able to get an outfit this time. And though I ain't Taraji, I ain't get the whole thing, child. I did get my outfit and I love my outfit and I wear it all the time and I will wear it when it's hot. So I think, so I just was so honored because for her to see me, is great for someone who I have seen so long and someone who I have often looked to when I have my own low moments and feeling like I have no idea what to do. I tap into my Virgo energy and I realize that if B can do it, again, we started off with representation mattering. If a young woman who was born came into the earth 2 days before I came into the earth, a few years before, but still 2 days before, can make so much noise and can change so much in the industry and can literally break so many records and shatter ceilings and show up. If she can do that, then my little problem probably doesn't matter. And I also look to her and all of our ancestors came before us. If they could sit in lunch counters, and be beaten and harassed and just try to get home to survive, this little stuff we care about,
minimal, completely does not matter.
Like it doesn't matter. And it's something we can figure out. It's all something we could show up to and figure out and do. And so, I loved that moment. It was definitely a great moment. As you can see, I had several contents around it. So I said, look, I hope B saw it. B, if you listening to this, I hope you like it.
Hey, girl. Gia, I just have to say, this was such a pleasure getting to talk to you. I'm so happy for you. I've been following you for years now and just seeing, the trajectory of your career and how you're handling it and how you're just so well spoken and really pouring into other women and just really doing the damn thing. Just congratulations on everything, this podcast and everything else that you have coming.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And I'm so excited for you. Like your voice is so good. I'm just ready to see whatever you decide to do with it.
You need me for something.
Okay, look. Okay, it's true. Definitely DM me
real quick.
Okay, DM me because I'm gonna be like, okay, when I can't do stuff, who can do it? You got the voice.
Let me get some tea or something.
Okay, right,
girl. Thank you so much. Really, congratulations on everything. You are killing it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means the world. I had such a great time talking to you.